The fluorescent lights hummed softly as James Thompson stacked cans of beans on the metal shelves of his store. It was almost closing time at Thompson's Market, a fixture in downtown Atlanta for over 20 years. Through the large front windows, the street lamps were just flickering to life against the darkening sky, casting long shadows across the worn linoleum floor. James wiped his forehead with his sleeve, mentally calculating tomorrow's inventory as he worked. The numbers came easily after decades of experience. Paper towels running low, need to order more milk, might need extra bread for the weekend rush. Despite being a state senator, he still made a point to help close up the family store every Friday. His father had started this business from nothing, working 16-hour days until his hands were calloused and his back ached. Now James took pride in keeping it running smoothly, even with his political duties. The store was more than just a business. It was his father's legacy. The small bell above the door chimed as Mrs. Walker, a regular customer since before James could walk, picked up her weekly groceries. Her arthritis had been acting up lately, but she never missed a Friday visit. "Evening, Senator Thompson," she called out warmly, her shopping basket already half full with her usual items. Cat food for Mr. Whiskers, Earl Grey tea, and those butter cookies she loved. James smiled and waved, watching her gather her items with familiar care. The store shelves were neat and orderly, just as his father had always insisted they should be. "A messy store means a messy mind, son." He glanced at his watch, 20 minutes until closing. The daily routine of checking stock, tidying shelves, and preparing for tomorrow felt as natural as breathing. The gentle hum of the refrigerators, the soft shuffle of Mrs. Walker's feet, the distant sound of traffic outside. It was all part of the peaceful rhythm of another Friday evening at Thompson's Market. The security cameras his son had insisted on installing last year blinked silently in each corner, watching over the quiet scene. Little did he know, this ordinary evening was about to become anything but routine. The sound of screeching tires shattered the quiet evening, a harsh, jarring noise that cut through the stillness like a knife. James Thompson, who had just finished locking up for the night, turned toward the commotion outside, his heart immediately starting to race. 3 police cars skidded to a halt in front of Thompson's Market, their tires skimming the wet asphalt. The flashing red and blue lights danced violently across the store's windows, casting long, eerie shadows on the walls. Before James could even process what was happening, the front door of the store flew open with such force that it rattled against the frame. In an instant, 6 officers flooded the store, storming in with their hands gripping their weapons, eyes scanning every corner like they were on high alert. The sound of boots pounding on the floor was deafening, and the commanding voice of the lead officer cut through the air. "Everyone stay down, don't move," he shouted. James froze in shock, unable to make sense of what was unfolding in front of him. His mind raced, trying to understand why the police were here, why they had come in with such force. But before he could even speak, the officers were already moving toward him, weapons aimed, their presence overwhelming and terrifying. "Hands where we can see them. Everyone on the ground." The lead officer's voice boomed through the store. Mrs. Walker dropped her shopping basket, groceries scattering across the floor. She let out a frightened gasp as she slowly knelt down. "What's going on here?" James asked calmly, keeping his hands visible as he'd learned to do long ago. "I'm the owner of this establishment. We received a credible tip about illegal activities at this location," one officer barked, already moving behind the counter without showing any documentation. "Nobody move." The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife as more officers spread through the store, ignoring James's repeated requests to see a warrant. Through the windows, he could see curious onlookers beginning to gather, their faces illuminated by the pulsing police lights. The officers tore through the store like a storm, pulling items off shelves and yanking open drawers. One knocked over a display of chips, sending bags scattering across the floor. James Thompson stood perfectly still, his heart racing but his voice steady. "I need to see a warrant," he said firmly. "You can't search my property without proper documentation." "Shut up and stay where you are," snapped a young officer, barely glancing his way. "We don't need your permission." James noticed the red lights of his security cameras blinking steadily in each corner of the store. He'd installed them last year, high-definition cameras that captured every angle. Right now, they were recording everything. The aggressive entrance, the destruction of property, the dismissal of his civil rights. "I'm asking one more time," James said, his calm masking growing anger. "Show me your warrant, or this ends now." The lead officer turned to him with visible contempt, taking a threatening step forward. James reached slowly into his back pocket and pulled out his wallet. "My name is State Senator James Thompson. Here's my identification." The lead officer's eyes widened as he examined the ID. His aggressive stance melted instantly, and he lowered his voice. "Senator Thompson? I had no idea, sir." The other officers froze mid-search. One nearly dropped cash register drawer he was rifling through. The young officer who'd been hostile moments before turned pale. "Dispatch, this is Unit 247, the lead officer spoke urgently into his radio. "Get the captain down here immediately. We have a situation." He paused, swallowing hard. "Yes, right now, it's State Senator Thompson." Static crackled over the radio, followed by a burst of panicked responses. The officers began straightening merchandise, their earlier bravado replaced with nervous glances and whispered conversations. The police captain's car skidded to a stop outside Thompson's Market, followed by two more senior officers. Inside, the captain immediately approached Senator Thompson. "Sir, I cannot apologize enough for this incident. This should never have happened." News vans began arriving, their bright lights illuminating the growing crowd outside. Neighbors and community members pressed against the police tape, many recording with their phones. "That's our senator in there," someone shouted. "We got your back, James." Mrs. Walker, still shaken, spoke to a reporter. "I've known Senator Thompson for years. This is what we deal with. Even a state senator isn't safe from harassment." The police chief arrived, pulling the captain aside for a heated discussion. Through the windows, camera flashes lit up the night as Thompson stepped outside to address his supporters, who greeted him with cheers and raised fists. The video of police harassing Senator Thompson went viral overnight, reaching millions of views. Major news networks picked up the story, highlighting yet another case of racial profiling. At an emergency press conference, Thompson stood firm. "What happened to me happens to Black Americans every day. But now, from my position in the state Senate, I can do something about it." He introduced comprehensive police reform legislation the following week. The police department launched an internal investigation. The anonymous tip came under scrutiny. Records showed it was vague and uncorroborated. 3 officers were suspended, pending review. Community protests continued for weeks. Local business owners organized a support rally outside Thompson's Market. Sales doubled as customers deliberately chose to shop there in solidarity. The incident became a turning point. Thompson's bill gained bipartisan support, and 6 months later, new police accountability measures became law, all because officers didn't know they were racially profiling a state senator. Thanks for watching this powerful story about racial profiling and police accountability. If it moved you like it moved me, please hit subscribe to support more important storytelling like this. Drop a comment sharing your thoughts or similar experiences. Every like and share helps spread awareness about these crucial issues affecting our communities. Let's keep the conversation going and push for real change together.